Hello there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back for another fun stamping video. Today I'm going to be featuring some products from the Penguin Palace. I recently won one of their giveaways off Instagram and got these 4 stencils from their new release, and I got to pick a stamp set, and I picked this cute penguin, you see that penguin agenda stamp set. It's got a bunch of cute little penguins. They're not necessarily for Christmas or winter scenes, but I really wanted to make a winter scene because there is a snowflake stencil in the pack that I got. And then I also wanted to play with something brand new, and that is the Nuvo Glacier Paste. So, right, you put all those together, penguins, snowflakes, glacier paste, and you have the makings of a winter card. So that's what I'm going to be making for you guys today. All right, so let's start out with the background and the stenciling. For my background, I'm creating an ombre effect using Distress Oxide inks in Tumbled Glass and Peacock Feathers. Because I'm going to be doing some stenciling over this background, I do not want the ink to be very saturated or very thick or very dark. So I'm only going to do one layer, and I'm doing the lightest color at the top of the background and the darker color at the bottom to create that ombre effect. And then I will come back in with my Tumbled Glass dauber just to do a little bit of blending without adding any more ink to it, and that just softens the blend between the two colors. Then I'm going to tape my paper to the back of this snowflake stencil from the Penguin Palace. It is super cute. And then I am able to do some stenciling over the top of my ink with the same colors of Distress Oxide ink, which will give them a very subtle appearance on this background. I kind of like the look when I'm doing snow of like the snow has multiple layers. There's snow falling in the background and there's snow falling in the front. So doing these subtle snowflakes on here creates that look of distance, that there's snow falling in the far background. So I'm doing a few layers of that just to really intensify this color. And I also felt, had I heat set the background before doing the stenciling, you might have been able to see the snowflakes on top a little bit better. So there's something to try. All right, so the peacock feathers at the bottom, and again, doing a couple layers to intensify that color. And you can see they're very subtle, but they show up beautifully. Now I've cleaned off my stencil and I've rotated it so that it is in a different position than it was when I did the ink blending. And now I'm going to take my Glacier Paste. This stuff is super yummy, and this is the color Sea Sprite. It is a very thin paste. It seems like it's a little bit more fluid than other pastes that I've used, and it is like intensely sparkly, but not glittery. The look that you get when this dries is almost the look of foil with shimmer in it. It's super duper cool. So I'm just going to scrape off any excess and put that back in the jar. Make sure that you cover that with some plastic and then add your lid and clean off all of your tools right away. Next, I am taking this super cute stamp set from Penguin Palace. Of course, I had to get the penguins. My sister loves penguins, my youngest sister, so this card will probably go to her. It is a winter-themed card, but it could also be used for Christmas time. I'm stamping the little penguin that's winking his eye, the crown, and the ice cream cone, and I stamped that penguin twice. And you can see there are the Copic colors that I'm using. If you wanted to duplicate those colors, you could definitely pause it right there so you could see the exact colors. I really try to put them on screen, but sometimes I end up taking the cap off and holding it in my hand. So I wanted to show it to you just in case I am falling back on that bad habit, but I'm really working on it. So I'm just doing 2 shades of gray, C8 and C6 for my penguins. For the outside of the penguins, and just using a little bit of a circular motion to blend out that darkest color. I am by no means what I would consider to be a Copic color expert. Far from it, but I love coloring with the Copic markers, and I feel like you don't really have to be an expert to get a good look with your Copics, and so that's why a lot of times I will go ahead and leave the coloring in, so maybe you too, who are not an expert at Copic coloring, will feel inspired to play with them and get some really good looks for your images. So I'm using the C0 to blend out the C2 that I put around the edge, the inside edge of the penguin. I wanted a little shadow there, and then I'm blending that out with the colorless blender. Now I have Y06 for the beak and the feet on each of the penguins. They're colored identically. And then I'm going to color the little crown. I'm using 2 shades of green, G16 and G02, and I'll just outline the crown with this green color and then blend it in with the lighter green. I'm going to leave the heart white. I'm not coloring it with that marker. I will come back and get that in a second. And then the ice cream, I'm making mint chip, so those 2 markers worked really good. And then I have B01 for that little heart, just a really light blue, bringing in the colors from my background. All right, then I colored in the cone with E13 and then gave it some mint chips, or just the chocolate chips, with E449. Now I don't have the die for this set, but there is one. So I fussy cut mine out, and then I will move on with the rest of my card. I cut out a vellum circle. I'm gonna lay out all the pieces, getting a feel for where I want everything to go. Once I have that in place, I'm going to draw a line so I know where to cut off the bottom of my vellum circle. And then I'm going to emboss a sentiment. It's Let It Snow. It's from a stamp set I already had called All Year Long from Fun Stamper's Journey. And I'm stamping that with my Peacock Feathers ink so it matches my background. And then I'm embossing it with clear powder. And then I'll go ahead and trim off the bottom of that vellum circle just above my pencil line so I can cut that away, and I'll start assembling this card. You'll see that I kind of go back and forth with laying my things out, playing with placement, and so I really like to do a lot of that and figure that out before I glue things down, but then again, sometimes you realize that's not quite right, and you have to adjust it after you've glued it, so you'll see me do that too. So I'll glue these penguins down to my little vellum circle, and it has a stitched edge, so it has a little added interest. I love that. And then once I have the penguins in place, I realized this one's a little too far away from the center. So I picked him off and scooted him over and just pressed it back down, and it ended up working out fine. Phew! And then I'll put that back on my card and figure out exactly where I'm going to want it to go before I glue it in place. So I'm putting the glue on the back of the penguins and at the bottom where the sentiment will be, and that will hold very nicely to this textured background. You know, it has the different textures with that Glacier Paste. The Glacier Paste is not very thick. It's only a little bit thicker than an embossed image, so it's not the thickest of pastes at all. All right, so then I'll glue my sentiment on and then trim off the excess on the other side. And then we can go ahead and bring in the card base, which is Nina Solar White cardstock in 110 pound. So I have a nice thick card base to glue my background onto. And you gotta put a little love in there. So that finishes up most of the card except the bling. I like a little bling, and I just got these crystal gems from Nuvo. They are pure Sheen gemstones. I love them. They have a little bit of iridescent to them, but then again, because they are clear, they pick up a little bit of the color that is behind them. So I have these iridescent gems in these light blue colors that catch the light, similar to the way that the Glacier Paste catches the light. So it's super shiny and icy and wintry looking. I love it. And these penguins are just so excited for winter, they're gonna throw a party. That's what I think. So that is today's card. I hope you have enjoyed it. I encourage you to play with the Glacier Paste. It is so much fun. You can find all the things I use linked for you below. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. I have new videos every week. Happy stamping. Bye.